오랜만에 뵙게 됩니다.
It's been a long time since I've seen you.
내일은 우리 렘넌트에 관한 메시지도 조금 하겠습니다.
Tomorrow we'll share a message concerning the remnants.
앞으로 우리 곳곳에 많은 렘넌트들이 일어나게 될 겁니다.
Because in the future, all over the place, many of our remnants will arise.
시애틀에도 굉장한 렘넌트들이 일어나게 될 겁니다.
And also great remnants will arise from Seattle.
한국에는 지금 렘넌트 본부를 진 RUTC를 짓고 있습니다.
Now, right now in Korea, we're building a headquarters for our remnants, which is the RUTC.
이제 길도 완전히 나고 땅들도 다 사들였고 그랬습니다.
We've already paved the roads and we've already started buying the land.
거기에서 이제 많은 훈련들이 일어나게 될 겁니다.
And many trainings will take place from there.
그리고 지금 렘넌트들이 일본, 미국, 유럽으로 한국으로 다 이렇게 일어나고 있습니다.
And remnants are arising right now in Japan, Korea, America, and in England, and Europe, and all over the world.
참 다행스러운 것은 렘넌트들이 모여서 오히려 우리 어른들을 위해서 기도하고 걱정하고 있습니다.
And in one way, I'm very grateful because our remnants are the ones that are rising and gathering, and they're the ones praying for the adults.
그러니 참 희망이 있는 거죠.
When you look at it that way, we truly have hope.
그리고 실제로 이제 응답받는 렘넌트들도 많이 일어나고 있습니다.
And realistically, there are also many remnants who are rising, who are receiving answers.
그러면 우리가 무엇을 준비하고 어떻게 해야 되겠습니까?
Then what must we prepare and what must we do?
그것은 내일 이야기하기로 하고 오늘 우리는 먼저 해야 될 게 있습니다.
We'll speak about that tomorrow, but today there is something we must do first.
이게 잘 안 되면 계속 안 되는 겁니다.
But if this does not take place, then things will not continue to work.
처음부터 제대로 해야 돼요.
That we have to begin with the start correctly.
하나님은 우리에게 가장 강하게 지금 부탁하시는 것이 처음으로 돌아가라고 합니다.
And what God is urgently requesting from us is for us to go back to the beginning.
그래서 이게 자세히 보면요, 거의 다 처음부터 틀려버렸어요.
So if you look very carefully, most of the people, they're wrong from the beginning.
그 불신자들 보면 요한복음 8장 44절에 성경은 너희 아비 마귀 그랬거든요.
If you look in the Bible, in John chapter 8, verse 44, for non-believers, it says, your father, the devil.
불신자들은 열심히 실력 있는 사람도 많고 하기 때문에요. 만 가지를 다 가지고 있는데 한 개 없어 다 무너지는 겁니다.
Non-believers, they work very hard. There are many among them who are very skilled. They've got tens of thousands of things, but because they don't possess one thing, they fail in the end.
그러니까 처음부터 틀린 거예요.
And so they were wrong from the very beginning.
기분 나쁘겠습니다만 성경은 예수님이 직접 말씀하시기를 너희 아비 마귀 그랬습니다.
Perhaps they may feel bad about my words, but the Bible itself, Jesus himself said, your father, the devil.
그리고 그 아비에게 속했다고 돼 있습니다.
And it says, you belong to your father.
그리고 거짓말장이라고 돼 있습니다.
And it said that your father is a liar.
그리고 거짓의 아비라고 돼
And
있습니다.
he is the father of lies.
그러니까 여기 있으니까 성공할 수가 없죠.
And because they remain there, they cannot have success.
그러니까 발전했는데도 지구는 자꾸만 어려움이 오는 거예요.
And so even though this world is developed and advanced, it continues to face more
아마
hardships.
세계에서 제일로 좋은 나라라고 할 수 있는 미국도 이 문제는 해결이 안 되지는
And
거죠.
perhaps you may consider it as the best nation in the world, the United States, and yet still the United States cannot solve this
이게
problem.
불신자들입니다.
This is the non-believer.
근데 처음부터 이건 틀린 거예요.
And so from the very beginning, they are wrong.
그런데 많은 종교인들 있지 않습니까?
But there are also many religious people.
복음 알지 못하고 종교 생활 열심히 하니까 마태복음 12장 43절 45절에 보니까요. 악령들이 계속 불어난다.
But because they diligently live their religious life without knowing the gospel, if you look at Matthew chapter 12, verse 43 to 45, they are continuing to be attacked by evil spirits.
그래서 귀신이 나갔는데 7 귀신이 들어왔다.
And that an evil spirit departed from their heart, but 7 more come in.
이 말은 보통 말이 아닙니다.
These words are not your average words.
신앙생활 하면 할수록 자꾸 어려워지는 거예요.
And the more they try to live their Christian life, the more they face hardships.
처음부터 틀려버렸다니까.
So they were wrong from the very beginning.
그러니 얼마나 안타까운
And
일입니까?
so how frustrating is that?
지금 특히 이 해외에 살고 있는 미국에 살고 우리 동포들은요. 더 주의해야 됩니다.
And right now, especially our Korean immigrants who are living overseas, you have to be even more careful.
여러분 처음이 틀려버리면 큰일 나요.
That if you are wrong from the get-go, then you will be in trouble.
아무리 해도 안 되는 겁니다.
And no matter how hard you work, it will not take
그럼
place.
마태복음 11장 28절 예수님께서 수고하고 무거운 짐진 자들아.
And that's why in Matthew 11, verse 28, Jesus says, come unto me, all you who are weary and heavy laden.
이거는 뭐 육신적인 것도 있겠습니다만 마음의 짐, 정신 짐을 막 지고 있는 거죠.
It may be talking about physical things as well, but it's talking about burdens in our heart, emotional and spiritual burdens.
여러분 특히 한국 사람들이 이 미국이나 카나다나 호주 이렇게 해외에 살고 있잖아요.
And especially we see Korean immigrants who are living in America or Canada or perhaps in Australia.
여러분이 이게 복음에 대한 확실한 시작을 안 하면 큰일 납니다.
And if you don't have the sure start with the gospel, then you will be in trouble.
지금 곳곳에 우리 한국 아이들이 문제를 일으키고 있습니다.
We see that Korean students all over the place are beginning to raise lots of problems.
일본도 그렇고 한국도 그렇고 노름판 이런데 카지노 이런데 한국 사람이 막 너무 많다고 합니까?
It's like that in Japan, even in Korea itself. We see that in the casinos there are so many people, the Koreans who are there.
3년 전에 마약 파는 이 마피아단이요, 이 한국을 제1 대상으로 삼았어요.
They say the mafia, one group of them which is involved with drugs, they say that the number one target country for them is Korea.
여러분들은 뭐 잘 아시겠습니다만은 이 해외에 나와서 복음 없으면 죽는 겁니다.
I'm sure you know very well, but if you're living overseas and you don't have the gospel, you will die in the end.
복음 없이 본토 친척 아비 집을 떠나면 큰일 나는 겁니다.
Because if you leave your homeland, your father's land, without the gospel, you will be in trouble.
자, 뭣도 모르고 살고 있는 겁니다.
Because you're just living without knowing what you're doing.
그러니 인생 끝이 가면 갈수록 심각한 문제 자꾸 옵니다.
And that's why at the end of your life, more and more, you'll face serious problems.
처음부터 제대로 해야 돼.
And so from the very beginning, you have to start
그러니까
correctly.
처음부터 틀려버리기 때문에 계속 틀리는 거예요.
But if you're wrong from the very start, then you're going to continue to be wrong.
그러고요, 이 구원 못 받고 교회 다니는 사람 많아요.
And there are many people who have not received salvation and yet they go to church.
이제 이거는 더 문제지요.
Now this is an even bigger problem.
구원도 못 받았는데 교회 다니는 사람 너무 많다니까요.
And not having even received salvation, there are all too many people who are just attending
근데
church.
제가 세계 돌아 특히 미국에 많아요.
And I've been all over the world, and I think this is especially more so in the case of
그래서
America.
미국의 목사님들 목회하기 어렵겠다 싶을 정도로 미국에 많아요.
And so I thought to myself, because that is the case, it must be difficult for pastors to run their pastoral ministries in
그냥
America.
막 교회 가면 한국 사람 만날 수 있으니까 오는 사람도 있어요.
And there are some people who come to church because when they go to church, they can meet other Koreans.
그럼 교회 와서 그냥 종교 생활하고 있다니까요.
And so they just come to the church and they're living a religious
근데
lifestyle.
살금 어려움 오는데 딱 숨기는 거죠.
Little by little, hardships are coming into them, and yet they try to hide it.
그렇게 완전히 막 영적 문제 심각하게 와도 자꾸 숨기는 거예요.
And even though serious problems come to them, they keep on trying to hide it.
일단 미국은 이게 뚝뚝 떨어져 있기 때문에 숨기기가 좋아요. 이렇게
And
잘.
because people in America, you live very far apart from each other, it's very easy to hide your personal
뭐
life.
이웃끼리도 별로 안 친하고 하기 때문에 숨기기가 너무 좋아요.
And sometimes you're not even friendly with your next door neighbor, and so it's very easy to hide your life.
한국은 그래도 좁아서 금방 들킵니다. 이게.
But Korea is very crowded, and so you get caught very easily.
그런데 미국은 막 숨기기가 얼마나 좋은지요. 이래가지고 영적 문제 빠져 완전히 죽기 딱 좋아요. 이게.
But in America, it's very easy to hide your problems, and so in one way, you get caught by your spiritual problems, and in the end, you die because
우리
of
사람
that.
모르고 교회 왔다 갔다 다니잖아요.
And these people, without even knowing this, they just go back and forth from church.
교회 다니면서도 이 복음을 구원받아 누리지 못하는 사람 너무 많아요.
That even though they may go to church, there are so many people who have not received this gospel and who are not enjoying this
사도행전
gospel.
11장 1절에서 18절에 보면 초대교회가 복음 받아놓고도 자꾸 누리지 못하고 딴소리 자꾸 하고 그러지.
If you look in Acts chapter 11, verse 1 through 18, the early church, even though they received the gospel, they weren't able to enjoy it, and they kept on saying the wrong things.
여러분 아무것도 아닌 것 같아도 굉장히 중요한 문제가 됩니다.
It may not seem like much, but this turns into a very important problem.
그래서 우리는 처음부터 제대로 이걸 처음에 제대로 해야 되는
And
거예요.
that is why we must begin the start correctly.
제가 몇 년 전에 그런 경험이 있었습니다.
A few years ago, I experienced this.
올해 한 15년 좀 넘었죠.
That I've been doing this movement for about 15 years now.
부산의 선교 단체에 제가 이렇게 강의를 하러 갔습니다.
And I went to a missions organization in Busan to give a lecture.
그래서 그런지 선교 단체에서 선교사님들 한 5명 파송을 하게 됐어요.
And from that missions organization, they were commissioning about 5 missionaries.
저를 보고 설교를 해달라는 거예요.
And they asked me to come and give the sermon.
이제 파송 장소는 이제 수영로교에서 하고 설교는 제가 이렇게 맡은 겁니다.
And so we held that commissioning service in the Suyeongla Church in Busan, but I was the one giving the message.
가면서 제가요, 이 길로 갈까 저 길로 갈까 생각이 들더라고요.
But as I was going to the church, I wondered, should I go down this way or that way?
이 중요한 집회이기 때문에 갈 때부터 아예 안전한 길로 가야 되는데 내가 그냥 고속도로 들어선 거예요.
And because it's a very important conference, I should have taken the safer path, but I got onto the highway.
이 고속도로는 잘못 들어서 버리면 빠져나오지도 못하고 계속 기다려야 돼요.
But if you get up onto that highway, there's no way out. And so if there's traffic, you have to keep on sitting there.
기름을 실은 큰 차가 말이요 넘어진 거예요.
That a big fuel tank happened to fall over.
그래서 3시간 동안 차가 안 하고 서 있는 거예요.
And so for 3 hours, the cars weren't even moving.
저녁 7시에 선교사 파송 예배 드리기로 했는데 이미 8시쯤 돼버렸어요.
Then we were going to give the commissioning service at 7 o'clock, but it was already 8 o'clock.
그래서 내가 전화를 했습니다.
And so I called them.
기름 탱크가 넘어져서 지금 차가 못 나간다.
And right now this fuel tank is blocking the highway, so we're not able to get off this highway.
옆으로 빠져나갈 길도 없다.
And there isn't even an exit ramp.
그러니까 할 수 없이 정필도 목사님 좀 설교를 하시고 그렇게 하셔야 되겠다고요.
And to have Reverend Chung Pil-to give the message instead and continue with the service.
그러니까 이 정필도 목사님 대단해요. 기다릴 테니까 오라는 거예요.
But Pastor Chung Pil-to is really outstanding. He says, it's okay, we'll wait, and so don't worry about it.
이게 다 끝나고 가니까요 10시요.
And by the time I finally got there, it was 10
난 더
o'clock.
놀란 사실은 예배당에 이제 선교사 여러 명 파송하는 가족 교회 다 왔을 거 아니에요.
But the amazing thing is that because we were commissioning several missionaries, their families, their relatives were all sitting in the sanctuary.
그 큰 수용료 교회가 가득 찰 정도로 사람이 왔는데 10시까지 기다리고 있는 거예요.
That large Seongla church was filled to capacity, and they were all waiting till 10 o'clock.
내가 뭐 어떻게 설교를 해야 될지 모르겠다.
I didn't know how I needed to begin my sermon.
얼마나 막 미안하기도 하고 뭐 어떻게 해야 될지 몰라요.
That I felt very sorry. I didn't know what to do.
이렇게요. 우리가 하루 가는데도 길 한 번 잘못 들어서면요. 그렇게 고생을 하는 거예요.
Even when we're going to one place, if you happen to go down the wrong path, that's how much you
우리
suffer.
생명이 달려있고 말이요. 신앙의 중요한 게 달려있는데 이게 처음부터 잘못 들어서 버리면 계속 문제가 오는 것입니다.
That our life hangs on this. The important things of our life hang on this. And so from the very beginning, we have to start correctly.
우리는 첫 번째 처음으로 돌아가야 됩니다.
We need to go back to the beginning.
내가 정말 구원받았고 구원의 축복을 누리는 하나님의 자녀가 맞는가?
That is it true that I have received salvation? Am I truly a child of God who is enjoying this salvation?
그러면 여러분은 뭐라고 대답하겠습니까?
Then what are you going to answer to that
나는
question?
교회 다니니까 뭐 하나님 자녀지.
Oh, I'm God's child because I go to church.
난 예수 믿으니까 하나님 자녀지.
Oh, I'm God's child because I believe
그렇게
in
말할
Jesus.
것입니다.
Are you going to answer that way?
그러나 그 질문이 아닙니다.
But it's not that kind of question.
내가 정말 구원의 축복을 누리는 하나님 자녀 맞나 말이에요.
That is it true that I am God's child who is enjoying the blessing of
여러분
salvation?
목사님들도 여기 질문하고 답해야 되고 장로님들도 평소에 다 해야 됩니다.
That even pastors, even elders need to ask this question and answer it.
여러분 이게 안 되지면 어떤 문제가 나는 줄 아십니까?
Because if this is not taking place, do you know what kind of problems follow?
이거 아무것도 아닌 것 같아도 우리 사는 동안에 아주 중요한 일이 벌어집니다.
It may not seem like much, but as we are living our lives, important things will take place because of
근데
this.
정확하게 말해 여러분 생을 마치는 사이에요. 한 번은 이거 구원받은 사람이라면 이 고백을 분명히 하도록 하나님은 사건을 만드십니다.
And accurately speaking, if you truly are God's child, in the life that you live, God will absolutely make you come to a point where you ask and answer this question.
구원 못 받은 사람은 이 뭐 마귀 백성이니까 말할 필요도 없는 거고요.
And people who have not received salvation, there's no two words about them because they already belong to the
이게
devil.
얼마나 중요한 질문인지 몰라요.
But this is such an important question.
제가 아주 잘 아는 교회입니다.
That is a church that I know very well.
아주 인품도 좋고 아주 행실도 좋은 장로님이 계세요.
And there was an elder who was very gentlemanly, who had very good character.
근데 이분들은 그냥 교회 가서 열심히 일하는 거예요.
And he just diligently goes and works at church.
부인 따라 교회 갔는데 뭐 조금 열심히 다니니까 집사 되고 말이에요.
That he happened to follow his wife to church. But because he kept on coming, they made him into a deacon.
이분이 워낙 얼굴이 선하게 생겼어요.
And when you look at his face, he just looks like a good person.
그러니까 뭐 얼굴이 선하니까 막 금방 장로 됐어요.
And very quickly, they appointed him as an elder.
형이 그 장로 형이요 이렇게.
And so when you look at him, he even looks like an elder.
근데 내가 만났을 때는 이분이 한 번도 내가 볼 때요 구원에 대한 감격을 본 적이 없어요.
But when I met him, I never sensed from him that he had the conviction of
이게
salvation.
문제거든요.
That is the problem.
나는 그분 우리 친척이기 때문에 자주 만나서 일이 있어 보면요 거기에 대한 거 없어요.
That he was my relative, and so I often met with him. But whenever I met him, I never sensed that from him.
교회가 자꾸 시험 든단 말이에요.
That the church kept on falling into
그럼
trials.
얼마나 고민이 되는지 몰라요.
And so he was so worried about the church.
그럼 간혹 만나면 그 걱정 얘기해요.
And then whenever he met me, he would talk about his concerns.
아닌데 말이에요.
And I thought to myself, that's not it.
이거로면 끝나는 건데 말이에요.
That if he just had this, then it would
근데
be over.
이분은 끝이 안 나는 거예요.
But for him, things were not over.
이게 한국 교회 모습 아니겠습니까?
That perhaps this may be the state of the Korean churches today.
그렇다고 생각 혹시 안 하십니까?
That perhaps you have not thought that way.
이게 지금 미국에 있는 한국인들 모습이라고 생각하지 않았습니까?
That have you never thought that that may be the state of the Korean churches here
이래서
in
미국
America?
사람들 전도하고 뭐 지금 많은 사람들 할 수 있겠습니까?
That in that way, can we go out and really evangelize to the Americans?
그러던 어느 날 보니까요 너무 교회가 막 싸움 붙었어 또.
And then one day I saw that the church had gotten into a fight.
당연하죠.
It's natural.
여기에 대한 아무 감격도 없는 사람이 싸울 수밖에 없습니다.
And the people who have no conviction concerning this, they have no choice but to fight
그래
inside
막
the
교회가
church.
막 쪼개지고 난리도 나고 막 그렇게
And so
해요.
the church fell into an uproar and it completely split.
근데 그게 문제가 아니란 말이에요.
But I don't believe that is the problem.
나는 그분들에게 목사님이 이걸 느낀 적이 없어요.
That I've never sensed this from him or the church members or even the pastor.
구원받은 하나님의 자녀구나.
Saved child of God.
이걸 강하게 느끼지 못했어요.
That I've never strongly sensed that from them.
그러니까 늘 이 수준이요 그냥.
And so that's why they're always lost in this state.
어느 날 보니까요. 이 소식이 들려오더라고요.
And one day I heard
장로님이 병원에 가서 몸이 안 좋고 검사해 보니까 오래됐다네 말이야. 암이 걸렸대요.
And the elder, he didn't feel so good, so he went to get a physical checkup in the hospital, and they said that he had cancer, and it's really in the end stages.
간암이 걸렸는데 막 간이 그냥 막 이미 만성이 다 돼버렸대.
And he had liver cancer, and it was already in the end stages.
수술도 불가능한데.
And it's impossible to do surgery.
얼마나 간을 태웠으면 간이 암이 걸려버려.
And I was thinking, how much he must have worked his liver to death that his liver became that way.
너무 착한 사람이라 착한 것도 문제예요.
That he was such a kind person, perhaps that kindness itself was the problem.
여러분 복음 없을 바에요. 악한 게 더 나아요.
That if you're not going to have the gospel, then in one way it's better off being a bad person.
주로 보면요 정신 도는 사람 보면 악한 사람 안 돕니다. 착한 사람이 돌지 이렇게.
That if you look at people who are crazy, people who go crazy, it's not evil people who go crazy, but it's the people who are really nice and kind who go crazy in the end.
그뭐한 번은 가봐야 안 되겠습니까?
And so I thought, I need to go visit him.
그냥 딱 지나가는 길에 가봤어요.
And so I happened to pass by the hospital and I visited him.
완전히 사람이 달라져 버렸어요.
And he was completely different.
이제 죽음이 확실하니까 완전히 사람이 달라져.
Because he knew he was going to die, he was a different person.
미안스럽지만 나는 그분에게 그날 복음을 전했습니다.
I'm sorry to say, but that day I preached the gospel to him.
주는 그리스도시요 살아계신 하나님의 아들이십니다.
Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God.
그분에게 복음을 전했어요.
I preached the gospel to him.
미안하지만 그분 혹시나 구원 못 받고 예수 안 믿을 수도 있으니까 그분 손잡고 예수님 영접하는 기도를 했어요.
I'm sorry to say this, but perhaps he had never heard the gospel. Perhaps he never had an opportunity to accept Jesus Christ. And so I preached the gospel to him, I held his hand, and he accepted Jesus Christ
그리고
that
그분을
day.
위해서 기도했어요.
And I prayed for him.
내가 느낀 게 있어요.
But there's something I sensed from him.
뭘 느끼는 거 하니까 내 손을 잡은 손이요. 얼마나 강한지 몰라.
But what I sensed from him is that when he held my hand, his hand was so strong.
생전 아멘 안 하는 사람이요. 아멘 할렐루야 난리나.
He never said amen a day in his life, but as I prayed for him, he kept on saying amen and hallelujah.
바로 그 모습이라 해야 됩니다.
That it had to be that very thing.
하나님이 원하시는 모습이 그 모습입니다.
What God wanted from him was that.
그래서 참 잘 된 거죠.
And so one way I was very thankful.
하나님 보실 때는
And from God's point of view,
잘 된 거예요.
that it really did go well.
그걸 하나님
Because
원하시니까
that's what God
왜
wanted.
그렇게
from him.
그게 안 됩니까?
But why wasn't it working for
굳이
him for so
가남이
long?
그래서야만 됩니까?
Because he had to finally realize after catching liver cancer,
이게 문제예요.
that is the problem.
그래서 내가 참 불행 중 다행이고 다행 중 불행이다.
And so I said, in one way, it's very thankful that he had to go through that unhappiness.
그러면 결국 돌아가셨어요.
But in the end, he passed away because of that.
이해됩니까?
Can you understand this
이
question?
처음으로 들어가야 돼요.
Go back to this
안
beginning.
그러면 이런 어려움 저런 어려움 자꾸 온다니까요.
If not, then all sorts of hardships will continue to come to you.
안 그러면 이거 제대로 딱 들어가 버리면 다 끝나는 거. 하나님 자녀보다 더 무서운 단어가 어디 있으면 더 좋은 단어가 어디 있습니까?
But if you correctly enter into this, then there is no greater thing than being a child of God.
얼마나 안타까운 일이십니까?
In one way, it's very frustrating.
제가 이름은 말하지 않겠습니다.
I won't say the name.
대한민국에서 제일로 주의 일을 많이 한 이 재벌 장로님이 계시습니다.
There was one elder who was the head of a conglomerate, and he really did the work of the Lord very well in Korea.
그분 이 사모님도 아주 열심히 일을 하고
And even his wife is very diligent in going to church.
나하고 만날 기회가 왔어요.
But an opportunity came for me to meet with
만날
them.
기회가 왔는데 그분 큰 건물비로 우리 집회도 했으니까요.
And we even borrowed one of his large buildings and held a conference there.
한참 잘 되고 있을 때
And things were going very well for
내가 그분
him.
보고 이 얘기했습니다.
And I said to him,
정말로 말하기 힘든 얘기를
and I
했어요.
said, it's very difficult for me to
내가
say this.
테이프를 7개를 줬어요.
I gave him 7 tapes.
그 권사님 한번 들어보시라고.
And I said to his wife, listen to these.
제 설교라고 하는 게 아니고 그냥 한번 들어보시라고.
Now don't think that it's my sermon, just try listening to them.
그분이 하는 말이 우리 이거 생기고 목사님 오시는데 집회 최고 많이 모였다는 거예요.
And she said, oh, since we built this building and we've had many conferences here, but your conference, Pastor, is where we had the most amount of people.
네, 그게 문제가 아니에요.
I said, that's not the issue.
그 종교 활동하지 말고 복음 활동을 해요.
Stop doing religious activities, but do gospel-oriented
그 훌륭한
activities.
분이 무슨 말인지를 모른다.
She was an outstanding person, and yet she didn't understand what I was talking about.
오히려 약간 뭐랄까 약간 기분 나쁘다는 듯이.
In one way, she seemed a little offended by my words.
참 어렵대요, 이 얘기하기.
It's very difficult for me to say that to her.
그러니까 잘못했다는 말도 아닙니다.
I'm not saying that she's doing something wrong,
우리가 이 복음에 대한 이 축복을 못 누리는 게 얼마나 그한지 몰라요.
but not enjoying the blessing of this gospel is such a terrible thing.
부산, 경남 사람들은 다 알 겁니다.
And probably the people in Busan in the Gyeongnam province all know who I'm talking about.
저 충무에 가면요, 아주 돈 많은 장로님 한분 계시잖아요.
If you go to this one region, there is a very wealthy elder.
어느 정도 돈이 많으냐?
Now, how much money does he have?
자기 교회 집회를 갔더니 자기 호텔 날 모시고 갔어요.
Then we went to a church in his region to hold a conference, and he opened up his hotel for us.
그래가지고 제일 위에 층에 방에다 데려다놨는데요. 나는 지금까지 호텔 가면서 그래 좋은 방 처음 봤어요.
That he put us in the top floor of his hotel, and of all the hotels that I've been in the world, I don't think I've seen any that was as good as his.
그래서 우리 방이 이렇게 좋습니까? 물어봤어요.
And so I asked him, oh, how could this room be so wonderful?
이 방은 방을 내놓는 방이 아니래요.
And he says, this is not a room that we easily open up to anyone.
박정희 대통령 오실 때 모시는 방이래요.
That it's the room that we open up when the former president Park Chung-hee
그래
comes to stay
일부러
in the hotel.
그게 만들었대요.
He says, we purposely made it for him.
그래서 목사님 오셔서 제가 자기가 있는 방이래 그럼 모시더래.
And then, well, Pastor, because I heard you were coming, it's a room that I usually stay in, but I wanted you to stay in.
상상해 보세요. 얼마나 좋겠습니까?
And so can you imagine how well that they groomed that room?
정말 잘해놨더라고요.
They really made it well.
내가 너무 잘해놔가지고 가만 앉아가지고 1시간 동안 쳐다봤다니까요.
They furnished it so well, so I just sat there and I think I was just staring at the walls for about an hour.
방도 너무 좋으니까 잠이 안 오대요.
And because the room was so good, I couldn't even fall asleep.
근데 내가 이분하고 얘기를 다 가만히 해보니까요. 아쉬운 거예요.
But as I was quietly speaking with him, I felt a little alarmed.
교회 일 다 자기가 다 해요.
That he was doing all the work in
뭐
the
총회
church.
총대로 뭐로 뭐 말할 필요도 없잖아요.
That he does everything that he wants to in the church.
뭐 식사하다가도 막 목사님 생일이다. 목사님 차 사고 하나 빼들라 하면 그걸 끝이에요 그냥.
And so even in the church session, he's the one talking. He says, oh, it's the pastor's birthday, then let's buy him a new car.
그래서 그 동네에서는 뭐 소문난 부자요.
And so rumors about him, news about him spread throughout the entire village about how wealthy he is.
살금 망한단 말이에요.
But little by little, he was facing destruction.
다 망해버렸어요.
And finally, he completely went bankrupt.
그래가지고 너무 망하니까 답답하니까요. 혈압 올라가지고 중풍 와버렸어요.
And because he was facing such great destruction in his life, his blood pressure went up and he passed out.
재산
because of
다
it.
말아먹어버렸어요.
That he lost all of his wealth.
사람이 그래 될 수 있습니까? 잘 집도 없어요.
And we were wondering, how could a person become that way? He didn't even have a home to live in.
사찰 집 뒷방에 와 있었어요.
That he was renting out just a small room behind the caretaker's room for the church.
그리고 불신자들 볼 때 이상하지. 예수 믿으면 저리 되는가?
And so when non-believers looked at him, they said, that's very strange. Does that happen to you if you believe in Jesus?
그리 뭐 확실한 전도를 한 거예요. 예수 믿으면 이렇게 된다.
In one way, it was very sure evangelism showing non-believers, this is what happens to you when you believe in Jesus.
다 그 사람 다 아니까.
Because everybody knew who he was.
이런 억울한 소가 있습니다.
Then how regretful is that?
저는 압니다.
But I know very well
열심히 속한 분이요.
that he was diligently just working.
열심히 교회 생활 한 분이요.
That he was just diligently doing his life.
열심히 헌금한 분이요.
He was just diligently giving his offering.
이것만 아닙니다.
But it was just this that he was missing.
정말 우리는요 속는 사람들 많습니다.
There are so many people out there who are
무슨
being
말씀을
deceived.
그렇게 하십니까?
Oh, how could you talk like that, Pastor?
바리새인들
Look at the Pharisees.
얼마나 훌륭했습니까?
They were so outstanding.
얼마나 잘 믿었는데 그럽니까?
They believed so well.
아니 얼마나 실력이 대단한데 그럽니까?
They were so skilled and talented.
아니 이 사람들 경력이 얼마나 대단한데
And they had
그럽니까?
such great experience. before them.
그러나 속은 겁니다.
Yet they were deceived.
망해버렸잖아요.
That's
나중에.
why they perished.
혼자 망하는 게 아니라 자손들 후대까지 나라까지 다
And it
망해버렸어요.
wasn't just them that perished, but their children and the nation itself
여러분 우리 처음 우리가
perished.
빨리 돌아가야
And
됩니다.
so we have to quickly return to
이
the
언약을요
beginning.
다 제대로 붙잡으면
We must
됩니다.
correctly grab hold of this covenant.
여러분 하나님의 자녀란 말은 생명 가졌다는 말이에요.
To say that you are God's child means that you possess life.
그렇다고 하면요 여러분 아시다시피 7가지 어마어마한 축복이 그 속에 들어있어요.
If that is true, then 7 amazing blessings are within that.
여러분 생명 가진 하나님의 자녀를 누가 건드리겠습니까?
Then a child of God who possesses this life, who can touch them?
여기에 대한 진정한 감격이 나오려고 하면 뭐가 있어야 되지요?
That if you want to have true conviction and thanksgiving concerning this, what must you have?
복음은 구원은 체험이 아닙니다. 여기에 대한 축복은 체험이요.
That the gospel and salvation itself is not experience, but the blessings in connection with them you must experience.
하나님의 자녀가 되는 것은 체험이 아니요.
That becoming a child of God, that's not some kind of
그건
experience.
은혜입니다.
That's God's
그러나
grace.
하나님 자녀에 대한 축복은 체험이요.
But the blessing of being a child of God, that's what you can experience.
어마어마한
It's
축복이죠.
an amazing
이게
blessing.
다 체험되죠.
You must experience
이게
this.
미국 살리고 시애틀 살리고 다 살리는 거예요.
That's going to save America, that's going to save Seattle, that's going to save everything.
하나님의 자녀가 된다는 것은 순은혜로 되기 때문에 사실은 모릅니다.
And becoming a child of God, that's by God's grace. So in one ways, we may not even be aware of
제가
it.
6.25 때 태어났는데 알 수가 없습니다.
I was born during the Korean War, and I wasn't really aware
그러나
of it.
거기에 대한 뒤에 그는 많은 체험을 했어요.
But I did experience many things because of that war.
저는 어째서 성이 유관지 저는 확실한 근거가 없습니다.
That I don't have any sure evidence of why my last name is Ryu.
그러나 살면서 체험해서 내가 루시라는 거를
But as I'm living my life and through my experiences, I realized that my last name is
내가
Ryu.
왜 부산에 살게 된지 알 수 없습니다.
Why I came to live in Busan, I'm not exactly sure.
그러나 나는 오래 살면서 부산을 체험했어요.
But as I lived in Busan for a very long time, I began to
그게
experience
정상
Busan.
아니겠어요?
That's normal, isn't
그리고
it?
구원은 은혜지만 이 체험이 어마어마하다니까요.
And so salvation is by God's grace, but experiencing that is tremendous.
여러분이 이런 축복을 지금부터 누리게 되시길 바랍니다.
And so starting now, may you begin enjoying these kinds
그러니까
of
바울은
blessings.
만약에서 감사 감격 나왔잖아요.
And so Paul was always convicted by this. He was always moved and always giving thanksgiving.
앞으로 이런 렘넌트들이 일어나면 세계를 살리고도 남는 겁니다.
And in the future, when these kinds of remnants arise, they will be more than capable of saving the entire
내일
world.
우리는 중요한 기도 제목을 좀 붙잡아야 되겠습니다만은 오늘 여러분 이 축복을 꼭 체험해야 돼요.
And tomorrow we're going to share some very important prayer topics, but today you must grab hold and experience this blessing.
지난주에 내가 그런 얘기를
And
했습니다.
last week I said this.
제가요 큰 체험 두 가지를 했어요.
There were two great experiences that I had in my life.
그게 뭔가 하니까요. 이 학교 들어가기 전에요.
The first was before I went to school.
우리 어릴 때는 우리 마을에 한 집에 그 뭐 시계 하나 있을 것만 그랬잖아요.
Then when I was very young, if you look in one village, perhaps one person out of the village had a watch.
30몇 년 전에만 해도요. 우리 마을에 한 집에 전화 하나 있을까 말까 했어요.
Even just 30 years ago, in one village, I think perhaps one house out of the entire village had a telephone.
아니 그런데 말이야 제가 이 초등학교도 안 들어간 어릴 때 우리 아버지가 어디가 탁상식이라는 게 사온 거예요.
But when I was young, I think it was before I went into elementary school, my father went someplace and he happened to buy a watch. You can just, a clock you can put on the table.
뭐 제가 보니까 뭐 어디 왔다 갔다 하다 중고품을 하나 산 것 같아. 그래 그걸 책상에 딱 갖다 놨는데 얼마나 이쁜지 몰라.
Then I think it was just a used clock that he happened to buy from a second-hand store. But he put it on top of the table and it was so pretty.
우리 어머니가 내한테 특별한 경고를 하더라고요.
And my mother, she gave me a very special warning.
시계 손대지 말라고.
Don't touch the watch, the clock.
그래서 이제 알았다 그랬어요.
And so I told her, all right.
그래서 우리 어머니가 어디 멀리 간 걸 내가 딱 확신하고요. 그걸 뜯어본 거예요.
And being very sure that my mother went someplace very far away,
그
I
옛날
took
거는 왜
apart the
이렇게
clock.
태엽 감는기 때문에 왼쪽을 틀면 풀렸다. 이렇게 다 풀 수 있었어.
And in the past, those clocks, they would be just made with different screws. And so if you turn it counterclockwise, then you can open it up.
그래 이제 마침 이 드라이버 있잖아요. 그거 다 풀어봐, 다 헤쳐봤어.
And because we had a screwdriver in the house, I opened up the clock and I opened
안에
everything
보니까
inside of it.
신기하대요.
And I looked inside it. It was so amazing.
그래가지고 다시 이제 다 조립을 했어요.
And so then I put it all back together.
그때가 내가 6살 때 7살 잘
I
모르겠어요.
think I was 6 or 7 at that time.
근데 여기에 조립을 해놓으니까 안 가는 거요.
But the strange thing is that even though I put it together, it wouldn't run.
이제 큰일 났잖아요.
And now I'm in trouble.
분명히 우리 어머니 손대지 말라 했는데 이걸 손댔으니까 안 가시요.
And my mother absolutely told me not to touch it, but I did touch it, and now it's not running.
이모가 좀 이렇게 딱 안 맞았는가 봐.
I think perhaps the gears were not really matching.
그리고 우리 옛날에는 뭐 그랬잖아요. 뭐 같은 거 뭐 차 같은 것도 안 가면 막 툭 차면 가고 이러잖아요. 이 시계를 툭 두드려 봤어요.
And so when we were young, when things weren't working like a car, then you could kick it or you hit it, then it would run. And so I thought perhaps if I hit the clock, it's going to
아
work.
이게 몇 번 두드렸더니요 바늘이 한 개 떨어져 버렸어요.
And so I hit it a couple times, and one of the hands fell off.
이걸 이제 붙여야 되는 거 아닙니까?
And I gotta stick that back on.
이래가지고는 붙이기 위해서 다시 또 뜯었어요.
And so in order to put the hand back on, I took it apart
이걸
again.
잘못 붙여가지고 바늘 두 개 다 떨어져 버렸어요.
And I guess I did it incorrectly because both hands fell off.
이래가지고 겨우 갖다 끼워놨더니 바늘이 이게 줄줄줄 도는 거겠죠. 그래 육자에 나가 있어 그냥.
And so I was barely able to get it back on, but perhaps I did it wrong because it was just going freely moving around, and they were both ended up at the 6.
이래가지고 우리 어머니가 저녁에 오더니요 뭐 얼마나 뭐라 하는지 시계 손대었다고 말해. 이제
And so
들킨 거죠.
my mother came home in the evening, and she started yelling at me so much that I had broken the watch.
이래가지고 우리 어머니가 시계 고치러 갔는데 내가 고친 집에 가 자세히 봤어요.
And so I saw my mother take it to the repair shop, and I followed her there, and I carefully watched the person
그
fix the
별거
clock.
아니에요. 다 풀어가지고 기름치고 소재하고 이랬는데 내가 그걸 자세히 봤다니까.
And it wasn't much. All I did was take it apart and put some oil on there, and then just dust it off.
얼마나 자세히 봤냐면요. 그 뒤에는 내가 시계 고장났다. 내가 고쳤어요.
That I watched him so carefully that after that, whenever the clock was broken, I was the one who fixed it.
드디어 몇 년 지나서는 우리 어머니가 내 실력을 인정했던지 시계 고장났을 때 내가 보고 고장났다고 말해서 내가 고치고 이랬더니
And after a few years, I think my mother was acknowledging my skill because whenever the clock was broken, she'd ask me to fix it.
제가요 시계에 대해서 처음이 있는 사람이요.
And so I'm a person who has experience concerning clocks.
그러니까 그것도 충격적 체험이요.
And in one way, it was a very shocking experience.
이래가 내가 시계방 주인 될 뻔했다니까요.
And so if I had gone down that path, then maybe I would have been an owner of a clock shop.
근데 이상한 것이요. 그때부터 제가 시계만 보면 관심이 가요.
But the strange thing is that ever since that time, every time I see a clock or a watch, I'm interested in it.
더 놀라울 일, 지금도 그렇습니다.
And the more amazing thing is that even now I'm like that.
제가 꿈을 꾸면 보통 한 3개를 꾸는데 주로 무슨 꿈을 꾸냐? 메시지하는 오늘도 낮에가 좀 자다 메시지 꿈을 꿨어요.
Then when I have a dream, I usually have 3 types of dream. Even this afternoon I was taking a nap and I dreamed about giving a message.
아니면 또 엉뚱하게 막 날아다녀요. 제가 이렇게 꿈에
Or
보면
else in my dream I'm just flying around someplace.
똑같은 꿈을 그
It's
날아다닌다니까.
always the same dream, but I'm flying around
저는 뭐
someplace.
다른 꿈 꾼 적이 없어. 언제든지 뭐 메시지 꿈 꾸거나 날아다녀 이렇게.
And so it's nothing else. My dreams are either I'm flying around or I'm giving a message.
그 다음에 틀림없이 꿈꾸다 뭐 주웠다 무조건 시계예요.
And a third dream that I have is I'm always going around and I pick something up and it
이
happens to
시계
be a watch.
체험이 이거 무서운 거예요 이게.
And so
지금.
having had this experience with the watch, it's a very scary thing that lasts my entire life.
시계만 봤다 사고 싶어요.
And so every time I see a watch, I want to buy it.
이래가 지금까지 도합 시계 산 것만 다 산 건 너무 많고요. 우리 집에 모아놓은 것만 한 30개 돼요.
And so I don't think I can count the number of watches that I bought until now. But just the ones that I have at home right now, I think I have about 30 watches.
지금 차고 있는 거 말고 가방에 있는 것만 몇 개 있어요.
And besides the one that I have on my wrist right now, I've got several more in my pocket,
그래서 지금은 시계방 가면 이제 안 간다니까. 왜냐 또 사고 싶어서요.
in my briefcase. And so I don't pass by the jewelry shops because if I see a watch there, I want to buy it.
내가 시계 선물인 것에도 어마어마하게 많아요.
And even just the number of watches that I've given as a present to others is tremendous.
그래 다른 사람 내게 시계 줬어요. 너무 많이 쓰니까 줘서야 선물에 좋은 시계 롤렉스 이거 막 줬다니까. 그래서 선물을 그냥 많아요.
And because I have many watches, even some very good Rolex, I was able to give it then as presents to people.
이 체험이 무슨 겁니까?
And so this experience, it really was a scary thing.
내가
for me.
보다 그거보다 더 큰 체험을 안 했어.
But I had an even greater experience than that experience.
창세기 3장 15절.
Genesis chapter 3, verse 15.
여자의 후손이 뱀의 머리를 상하게 할
The
것이다.
offspring of women will crush the head of the
나는
serpent.
그거요. 정신병원 가가지고 전도하다 체험했어요.
I experienced that as I went to a mental institution and I preached the gospel
저는
there.
그게 그렇게 대단하다는 거는 믿었지만은요. 체험을 못했어요.
That I knew that that verse was an amazing verse, but I'd never experienced it.
정신병원을 갔는데 저는 악령 본 적도 없고 들려본 적이 없기 때문에 모르잖아요.
Then I went to the mental institution, and there's never been a time that I've even heard about demons. I've never was possessed by a demon, so I don't really know about them.
정신병원에서 완전히 돌아내 보니까요. 누가 봐도 아 이건 악령 들린 거구나 이렇게.
But when I went to that mental institution, I saw a person, and even if just an average person looked at them, they knew that that person was
나는
demon
그때
possessed.
생애 처음으로 아 이걸 보고 악령 들렸다고 하구나.
It was the very first time in my life that I realized that's what they call being demon possessed.
창세기 3장 설명하고 창세기 3장 15절 설명했는데요. 몸을요 진짜 아마 완전 봐라 그래요.
Then I explained Genesis chapter 3, and I explained Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, and that person started to go crazy.
이 친구가 예수 영접하고 나는데 치유가 됐어요.
But after that person accepted Jesus Christ, he was
난
healed.
너무
I
충격받았어요.
was so shocked by that.
야, 도대체 이게 뭔 일이냐?
What in the world is this?
그때부터 계속 체험되기
From
시작했어요.
that point on, I continued to experience this.
창세기 3장 15절부터 시작해서 마태복음 16 힘줄 고백했는데 이게 놀라운 역사로
Beginning with Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, and until the confession of Matthew chapter 16, verse 16, amazing experience continued to take place through those verses.
지난주가 내가 해운대 교회 메시지로 갔더만요. 애들이 막 모여가지고 막 몰려오더라고요.
And last week, I went to the Haeundae Regional Church to give the message, and all these children came to me.
그 애들이요 일제히 나를 보더니 뭐라 그러냐? 주는 그리스도시요 살아계신 하나님의 아들이십니다.
And as soon as they saw me, every single one of them said, Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God.
내가 얼마나 성공한 겁니까?
And if you look at it that way, then I'm very successful
조그만
in their
유치부
eyes.
아들이 몰려와가지고 주는 그리스도시요 살아계신 이런단 말이에요.
Because young preschool students are coming up, they're saying, Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God.
이게요 계속 체험되죠.
We have to continue to experience this.
그런데 분명히 사건을 통해 체험할 것이냐, 병이 들어 체험할 것이냐, 하나님의 말씀으로 체험할 것이냐, 현장으로 체험할 것이냐 이게 중요하단
But the sure
말이에요.
thing is, how are you going to experience it? Are you going to experience it with some kind of incident? Or are you going to experience it having caught a disease? Are you going to experience from God's word? Or are you going to experience in the field?
여러분 시애틀에서 미국에서 이 체험이 분명히 일어나게 되기를 예수 이름으로 축복합니다.
And in Seattle, in America, I bless your name, Lord Jesus Christ, that you will surely experience this in your
그러면
life.
눈이 다르게 떠인다니까요.
Then your eyes will open up to see things differently.
여러분 산 위에 올라가서 밑을 한번 내다보세요. 분명히 다릅니다.
That go onto a mountaintop and look down below. Absolutely, things are going to look different for you.
여러분 나무 밑에 앉아 구석에 쭈그려 앉아 있다가요. 높은 등성에서 쳐다보면 분명히 다릅니다.
That if you're just crouching underneath the tree and looking around, then it's going to be different from the way you see from when you go up on a mountaintop and look down
이
below.
축복을 조금 체험하고 경험하고 나니까요 분명히 달라요.
You slightly begin to experience this, and amazingly, you
그리고
will be different.
이 축복은 막 계속 오는 거예요.
And this blessing continues to come.
그래 심지어는 딴 거 필요 없다 할 정도로.
It comes to the point where you say, I don't need anything else.
그러면 다른 사람이 이해를 못해. 딴 거 필요 없다니까.
Then other people may not understand you because you're saying that you don't need anything else.
바울은 필요 없다 안 하고 배설물이다
Now,
그랬잖아요.
Paul, not only did he say he did not need it, he considered everything
이게
else
이제 바울이
rubbish.
이해가 된 거예요.
That means Paul understood this.
이러면 시애틀에서 놀라운 역사들이 계속
Then amazing works will continue to take place in Seattle.
이런 사람이 어디 있는가 아시고 하나님은 축복을 쏟아붓는 것입니다.
Knowing where these kinds of people exist, God pours down His blessings on them.
렘넌트 7명을 보세요. 이런 사람이 감옥소에 있으면 하나님은 감옥소 역사하시는 거예요.
Look at the 7 remnants. When a person like this was inside the prison, God worked on that prison.
전도 걱정할 필요 없어요. 이 사람이 어디 있냐에 따라서 하나님은 사람을 거리를 보내는 거예요.
And you don't even have to worry about evangelism. Depending upon where this kind of person is, God sends others to them.
하나님은 빌립이 어디 있는가 보시고 에티오피아 내실 고리 가게 합니다.
And seeing where Philip was, God made the Ethiopian eunuch go to him.
하나님께서는 아나니아가 어디 있는가 아시고 바울을 거리로 지나가게 하십니다.
Knowing where Ananias was, God allowed Saul or Paul to pass by
이런
that way.
놀라운 일이 벌어집니다.
These kinds of amazing
하나님은
things take
바울이
place.
어딘 줄 아시고 그게 사람을 모이게 만드는 겁니다.
And knowing where Paul was, God allowed other people to gather to him.
더 중요한 거
What's more important?
여러분의 영적 문제가요 전부 축복으로 바뀌어버려요.
Your spiritual problems will all turn into blessings.
더 중요한 거 미국 사는 사람 이거 모르면 큰일 나요.
What's more important is that when you're living here in America, if you don't know this, you will be in trouble.
진짜 큰일 난다.
You really will be in trouble.
그러니까 우리가 자칫 잘못하면 이 축복을 놓치기 쉽습니다.
And so if we're not careful, it's easy for us to lose hold of this blessing.
그러니까 제일 놓치기 쉬운 게요. 우리 여러분이 중직자들 이런 분들 놓치기 쉬워요.
And the one that are most easily losing hold of this are the church leaders.
더 놀라운 거는 목회자가 더 놓치기 쉬워요.
More amazingly, it seems that the pastors are the ones that are losing hold of
그리고
this.
조심해야 되는 것은 일이 그래 중요한 거 아닙니다.
And what we must be careful of is work is
다
not all
놓쳐
that
부르고
important.
일하면 뭐합니까?
What's the use if you lose hold of all this and you're just working hard?
그래서 우리 렘넌트 속에 지금 들어가기 시작했다. 앞으로 폭발 일어날 겁니다.
And so this is beginning to go into the lives of our remnants, and later on, it's going to be
그래서
explosive.
저는 확신하고 있다는
And
거예요.
I have assurance in that.
앞으로 RUTC를 다 짓기 전에 렘넌트들이 일어나서 역사를 납니다.
That in the future, even before you finish building all the remnant unity training centers, the remnants themselves will arise and raise great works.
나는 미국에 있는 모든 목사님들 존경해요. 왜 하느냐? 렘넌트 보고요.
That I really respect all the pastors living here in America. Why? Because I look at their remnants.
놀랄 일이요.
It's really amazing.
나는 목사님들은요 보면 막 별로다 싶은데 막 렘넌트들이 이게 별로가 아니요.
And
진짜
sometimes I look at the pastors and I think, wow, they're nothing much. But when I look at their remnants, I know that they're really something.
목사님들은 별로다 싶은데 렘넌트들은 별로요 진짜.
And sometimes I look at the pastors and I think, oh, they're really not that
이게
much. But when I look at their remnants,
진짜
I know
희망이
that it's amazing
있다니까요.
there because there's hope there.
그래서 이게 생각해 보세요.
And so think about it.
어릴 때 복음 들어갔다 반드시 시대를 움직입니다.
The gospel goes into them while they're young. Absolutely, they will overturn their
조금
age.
계셔보라니까요.
And so really wait and see.
그럼 우리 렘넌트들은 벌써 자기들이 성공해서 이 운동 하겠다고 다짐을 다 하고 있지 않습니까?
And the remnants already, they've made resolve in their hearts that when they grow up and have success, they're going to continue to do this remnant
그러니까
movement.
우리들이 돈 버는 거는 푼돈이지만 렘넌트들은 머리 있는 학생들이 버는 돈은 다릅니다.
And so the money that we make to support them is just pocket change for them. The money that these remnants are going to make, that's truly amazing.
그러니까 예를 들어서 빌 게이츠 같은 인물들, 타이거즈 같은 이름 한 명만 나와 보세요. 그 돈은 돈 따질 필요도 없는 거예요.
And for example, let us say that one person like Bill Gates or a person like Tiger Woods comes from among our remnants, and we don't even have to think about money.
앞으로 그런 인물들이 렘넌트 막 일어날 건데요.
But those kinds of individuals are going to arise from our remnants in the
참
future.
이상해요.
And so it's very strange.
자칫 잘못하면은 교회 오래 다닌 사람이 못 깨닫는단 말이에요.
If we are not careful, people who have been going to church for a very long time are the very ones that do not realize
정말로
this.
우습죠.
It really is strange, isn't it?
새신자가 못 깨달아야 되는데 오래 다닌 사람이 못 깨닫는다.
It should be the new believer who doesn't realize this, but it's the ones who've been going to church for a very long time who don't realize
그래서
this.
중직자들이 주의해야 돼요.
That's why the church leaders have to be
중직자들만 이런
careful.
일을 일한다고
The church leaders are always busy
이
working,
축복의 감격이 없어져 버려.
and so they lose their conviction concerning this blessing.
그게 주의해야 돼요.
That's what you have to be careful of.
그 다음에 더 문제는요. 목회자 가족이에요.
And the bigger problem is the family members of
이
the pastor.
가족들이 이 감격을 모를 수 있어요.
Because the family members, if they're not careful, they may lose this
어떤
conviction.
면에서는요. 목회 자녀들이 제일 늦게 깨닫는다니까요.
And in one way, it seems as if the pastor's children are the ones that
아니
realizes the latest.
불신자 집 아이가요. 막 어려움 당하다 복음 깨닫는데 목회자들은 어려움 없어 그런지 못 깨닫는단 말이에요.
A child, a non-believing family, perhaps they face a great hardship, and then they come to know this amazing blessing of the gospel. But because perhaps the pastor's children are not facing that kind of hardship, they don't realize this
자칫
blessing.
잘못하면 이런 걱정 저런 걱정하다가 사모님이 제일 못 깨닫는다니까요.
Then if they're not careful, the pastor's wives worrying about this, worrying about that, is the last to realize
그러니까
this.
참 여러분 정신 차려야 돼요.
And so you really have to come to your senses.
우리 한국에도 보니까요. 특히 사모님들은 진짜 용기 내야 돼요.
That even when I look in Korea, the pastor's wives are the ones who should be bold and courageous.
우리 그 보니까 다락방에 그 총회장 지내면 70 넘은 분인데 사모님 돌아가 보니까요. 금방 젊은 사람하고 시집 오더라니까요. 그죠?
Then we looked inside of our Harapang, our organization, and the former moderator, he's past 70 years old, and his wife passed away. And very quickly, he got remarried to a very young woman.
그래서 사모님들 정신 차려야 되겠구나 싶더라고요.
Because I thought, oh, pastors' wives have to be careful.
그 앞에도 벌써 60 넘은 사람이 사모님 돌아가면 금방 막 S라인 시집 왔다니까요.
And right before that, another person who was past 60, his wife passed away, and another very young, very beautiful woman got married to him.
그래서 나는 이 정목사님 교회 가서 그래서 사모님 힘내가 신앙생활 잘하라고 왜냐 돌아가실 분이면 정목사님 저 정도 되면 줄 섭니다 완전히.
And so I told Pastor Chung when I visited his family, and I said to his wife, you better be very careful because you watch yourself, because if you pass away, then people like Pastor Chung are very popular. He's going to have women lined up next to him.
그러니까요 은혜 받아야 돼.
And so we have to receive grace.
잘못하면 목회 자녀들 은혜 못 받는다니까.
Because if you're not careful, it's the pastor's children that don't receive grace.
그래서 내가 특별 명령을 내렸다니까요.
And so I made a very special order.
우리 아이들 다 한국으로 일단 들어오라.
Then I told my children to come back to Korea.
미국이 나쁘단 말이 아니고 일단 한국으로 들어오라.
I said, it's not that America is a bad place. I want you to first come back to
몇
Korea.
년이고 제대로 훈련받아 나가라.
And for next several years, I want you to correctly receive training.
그래서 이제 다 들어왔고 이제 다음 주면 완전히 다 들어옵니다.
Then next week, they're going to completely come into Korea.
왜냐면 이거 못 깨달으면 큰일 나잖아요.
Because if they don't realize this, then they will be in trouble.
자칫 잘못하면 더 못 깨닫는 게 우리 목회자 자신이 못 누린다니까요.
And even more so, if we're not careful, it's the pastor himself that doesn't realize
여러분
this.
얼마나 이 큰 축복인데 말이에요.
This is such an amazing blessing.
그래서 여러분이 시애틀을 어떻게 살릴 것이냐 걱정 안 하셔도 돼요.
So how will you save Seattle? Don't even worry about
미국
that.
어떻게 살릴 것이냐
How are you going to save
그
America?
걱정은 하나님이 하고 계신다. 걱정할
That
필요 없어요.
worry, God's the one doing it. You don't have to worry
하나님
about that.
걱정은 따로 계십니다.
God's the one that's worrying about that.
여러분이 정말로 이 부분을 누리고 체험하고 안다면 끝나는 겁니다.
That if you're really experiencing, if you really know this, then it's over.
주는 그리스도시요 살아계신 하나님의 아들이십니다.
Jesus the Christ, the Son of the living God.
예수님이 너무 놀라 바요나 시몬아 네가 복이 있구나.
Jesus was so surprised that Simon, son of Jonah, blessed are you.
이를 네가 알기는 혈육이 아니요 하늘에 계신 내 아버지십니다.
For this was not revealed to you by man, but by my Father in heaven.
너는 베드로라.
You are
이
Peter.
반석에 내 교회를
And
세워.
upon this rock I will build my church.
여러분 목사님들은 오늘 이후로 한번 잘 생각해 보시고요. 아무 걱정하지 마세요.
And so pastors, starting today, carefully think about this and don't worry about
좀
anything.
인본주의도 좀 살살 내버려 버리고
And get rid of all of the
걱정 안 하셔도
humanism.
됩니다.
And you don't have to
여러분들이
worry.
이것만 갖고 있으면 하나님은 모든 것을 다 주십니다.
Because if you just have this, God will pour down everything.
좀 잘못한 사람도 용서해 주고요.
And those who made mistakes, forgive them.
또 내 원수가 됐습니까? 좀 그 사람들 좀 포용도 하고요.
And there's no such thing as an enemy. If there is anyone, then, embrace them.
네 교회 내 교회 됐습니까? 지금 우리 다 한 교회입니다.
And it's not an issue of your church or my church. We're all one
그래야
church.
렘넌트를 살립니다.
Only then can you save the
이런
remnant.
좀 생각하면 이거 다 살아날 건데 괜히 손을 잡고 보는 거예요.
And if we just do that, then everyone will be right. But we keep on doing things that are not to our profit.
이게요 어마어마한 겁니다.
This is an amazing thing.
두 번째입니다.
Then number 2,
두 번째 질문이 필요합니다.
we need the second question.
여러분이 정말 전도할 사람이 맞다면 어떻게 되겠죠?
If you truly are a person that's going to evangelize, then what's going to happen?
여러분이 정말로 전도할 사람이 맞다면
If you truly are a person that will evangelize,
하나님 보시기에 아주 소중하겠죠.
then from God's point of view, you are very precious.
여러분 파바르란 말 있지 않습니까?
And you know this word about being a messenger.
옛날에 임금님이 전달하는 메시지대로 갖다 주는 사람.
That it was a special envoy that would take the message that the king was relaying and then relay it to others.
얼마만큼 중요하겠습니까?
Can you imagine how important that person is?
임금님이 특별 권세를 줍니다.
In one way, the king would give a special authority to that courier.
임금님의 중요한 명령을 가서 전달해야 되는데 그걸 옛날에는 말 타고 갔다니까요.
That he has to take the king's important command and he has to relay it to someone else. And in the past, they used to ride horses.
그게 파발이요.
That is a courier.
여러분이 누구냐? 여러분은 파발입니다. 전도자라면 그렇습니다.
Then who are you? You are that very courier if you are an evangelist.
여러분이 그리스도의 대사요.
You are ambassadors of Christ.
여러분이 정말 전도자가 맞다면
If you truly are an evangelist.
여러분이 전도자마다 하나님께서는 어마어마한 축복을
If
준비하셨잖아요.
you truly are an evangelist, then God has prepared amazing blessings for
여기에
you.
대한 질문을 분명히 해보셔야
And you
됩니다.
absolutely need to ask this question concerning yourself.
사단이 볼 때 여러분 굉장히 두려워합니다. 여러분을.
Then when Satan looks at you, he'll be very fearful of you.
여러분이 정말로 내가 전도해야 되겠다는 사람이라면 하나님은 가장 귀중하게 보시고 사단은 가장 두려워합니다.
If you truly believe that you are a person that will evangelize, then in God's eyes, you are the most precious, and in Satan's eyes, you are the most
여러분
fearful.
전도의 가장 중요한 정의가 뭡니까?
Then what is the most important definition of evangelism?
개선 장군께서 승리한 지역에 깃발 꽂으러 가는 겁니다.
That the conquering general is coming back from his field of victory, and you're just going there to plant the flag.
이게 전도입니다.
This is evangelism.
개선 장군이 그리스도께서 완전히 승리한 그 깃발을 꽂으러 간다니까요.
That the conquering general has now come back in victory, and you are now going back to that region to plant the banner of Christ.
옛날에 주리아스 시저가요 전쟁 나가 이기고 돌아오잖아요.
That in the past, Julius Caesar would go out to war, and then he'd come back
그리고
victorious.
포로해 옵니다.
And then he would bring back captives.
상대방 임금 묶어 가지고 포로해 온다.
That he would bind up the opposing king and bring him back.
그래가지고 시저가 다 오잖아요.
And then Caesar would come out.
앞에 뭐 제일 먼저 누가 오느냐? 이 주리아스 시저가 앞에 다 마차를 타고 들어오는 겁니다.
Now, who's at the very front of that procession? It would be Julius Caesar riding on his
그리고
chariot.
그 뒤에는 주리아스 시저 다른 군대가 쫙 따라오는 겁니다.
And right behind him would be his army.
그 뒤에 누가 옵니까?
Behind them.
상대방 나라 적군 왕이 묶여서 오는 겁니다.
The king of the opposing country, their enemy that is, would be bound and dragged.
그 뒤에 포로병들을 걸어서 끌려서 오는 겁니다.
And behind them, we'd see that the captives would be shackled and they'd be dragged.
그 뒤에는 이들을 도망 못 가도록 호위하는 군사들이 딱 호위해서 오는 겁니다.
And behind them, there would be the ranks of armies that make sure that these people did not run away.
그러면 왕 앞에 딱 와요.
And they would all come before the king.
왕이 이제 그 개선 장군의 상을 딱 축하하잖아요.
And the king would award that conquering general.
이미 그 나라는 끝난 겁니다.
Then already it's over for that other country.
그 뒤에 그 나라를 다스릴 공무원이 가서 주둔을 하는 거죠.
Then after that, a governing official will be sent back to that other country to rule over
가서
that
로마
country.
기만 꽂으면 돼요.
And all he needs to do is go there and plant the Roman
그때부터
flag.
통치를 시작하는 거예요.
And from that point on, he's able to govern that
영적으로
land.
마찬가지입니다.
It's the same thing spiritually.
그리스도께서 사단의 모든 권세를 꺾어버린 거예요.
And Christ has already broken all the authority of Satan.
우리 가서 깃발만 꽂으면
All
돼요.
we need to do is go and plant his flag.
자, 여러분이 앞으로 큰 일도 해야 되겠습니다만은 정말로 여기에 대한 감격 체험해야 되고요. 정말 이 일이 무슨 일인가 한번 보세요.
That in the future, you must do great things, but truly, you must have experience and conviction concerning the very first question. And let's look at the second
이
question.
부분이 굉장히 중요합니다.
This is very important.
제 얘기를 좀 해보겠습니다.
Now, I'll speak a little bit about myself.
저는 옛날에 어떻게 했는가 하니까요. 가방, 제 차에 많은 걸 실어 다녔습니다.
That what did I used to do in the past? Inside of my car, inside of my bag, I used to carry many different things.
내가 능력이 없기 때문에 다른 사람 테이프라든지 소책자라든지 이런 걸 가지고 다녔어요.
Because I didn't have a lot of abilities, I used to carry around tapes as well as small booklets.
내가 중요한 만나는 사람에게 테이프를 이렇게 주고 책자를 줬어요.
And to the important people that I would meet, I would just present them that cassette tape or a small booklet.
나는 그거 할 때 모르는 걸 하나 깨달았어요.
But when I did that, there was something I realized that I
전에는
didn't know
도저히
before.
몰랐는데 깨달았다니까.
That I didn't know that before, but then I realized
새로 믿을 사람에게 줄 만한 테이프가 없어요.
that there was no tape to give to new believers.
놀라울 일이죠.
It really is amazing, isn't it?
목사님 설교를 들어보면 나는 은혜 받았는데 그 설교를 불신자에게 새 가족에 줄 설교는 거의 없어요.
That I would listen to the pastor's tape, and I was very blessed by it, but I realized that that was not a tape that a new believer or a non-believer could understand.
솔직히 조금 그래도 예수님 얘기를 조금 하는 사람이 있어요.
But honestly speaking, there was a person who did speak about Jesus a lot.
그 테이프를 많이 줬는데 그 테이프가 조영기 목사 테이프예요.
That I gave that tape out a lot, and that was a tape of Pastor Cho Young-gi of the Full
한국에
Gospel Church.
그렇게 유능한 목사님들 계신데 그 테이프는 줄 수가 없어요.
There were so many outstanding and famous pastors in Korea, but I could not give them their tape.
너무 수준이 높아 그런지 복음 얘기는 전혀 없어요.
Because their sermons perhaps were very so high level, they weren't exactly talking about the gospel.
당분간이지만 한국 하나님께서요 그 여의도 교회를 세계 제일 큰 교회를 만드는 이유 있어요.
That it was a very brief time, but I think there is a reason behind why God allowed the Full Gospel Church in Yoido to become the largest church in the world.
그래서 제가 직접 쓰기로 했습니다.
And so I decided I'm going to write it.
그래서 종이 한 장에 썼어요.
I began to write down a message on a sheet of paper.
그게 오늘날요 하나님 축복하신대요.
And that is what God blessed today.
그래서 제가 이게 강단에 쓸 수 있는 입장이 못 되니까 어릴 때는요. 그래서 써서 준 거예요.
And so when I was young, I didn't have much opportunity to stand at the pulpit and give a message. And so I just wrote it down on a piece of paper.
만나는 사람에게 주었어요.
And I gave it to the people that I met.
여러분 큰 전도 필요 없습니다. 그렇게 해보세요.
Now, you don't need to do great evangelism. Just do it that way.
내가 알고 있는 사람에게 계획을 세우세요.
To the people that I know, set up a plan concerning that.
그게 어렵습니까?
Is that difficult?
그게 어렵다면 여러분 정말 나쁜
If
사람이에요.
that is difficult, then you truly are a terrible person.
그래 아까도 워치만리 얘기했잖아요.
That I spoke about watchman need to our pastors. here
워치만리가
before.
이단인데도요 옛날에 자기 반 60명을 놓고 기도했다랍니다.
Even though watchman need is considered a heresy, they say that in the past he used to pray for the 60 people inside of his classroom.
59명을 인도했어요.
And 559 of them were accepted Jesus
그게
Christ.
전도입니다.
That is evangelism.
여러분 슈퍼 갔다 나올 때 그냥 나오잖아요.
That when you go to the supermarket, you just just go there and come back.
여러분 딱 메시지가 더 선물해 보세요.
And perhaps you can present them with the message.
여러분 이렇게 보면 주보가 굉장히 중요하게 돼요.
And if you try doing that, you realize that your church bulletin is very
여러분
important.
다락방하는 교회는 거의 다 주보에 보면 복음 들어 있잖아요.
Because most of our churches inside of our Tarapang movement, we see that the gospel message is presented inside the
여러분
church
사람
bulletin.
만날 때 어망때망때도 그건 안 하잖아요.
Then when you meet with people, you talk about all sorts of things, but you don't give them this.
그럼 해보세요.
And so try
근데
it.
이런 것들이 여기가 굉장한 역사를 납니다.
But those things all come together to bring about great works.
여러분 기도 중에 최고 기도가 뭔지 압니까?
And do you know what is the greatest of all prayer?
내일 내가 어디로 가고 내일 뭐 하는데 누구를 만나는데 어떤 자료를 드릴까? 그 기도가 제일 좋은 기도입니다.
What am I going to do tomorrow? What kind of person am I going to meet tomorrow? And what kind of material can I present to that person?
뭐를
That is the greatest
내놔라
prayer.
뭐 어쩌라 그런 거 할 거 없어요. 하나님 다 아신다니까요.
God, give me this, do that for me. You don't have to say those kind of prayers because God already knows everything.
하나님 나는 돈이 없습니다.
God, I don't have any money.
정확하게 말하면 하나님이 없게 만들었잖아요.
Accurately speaking, God's the one that didn't give you any money.
그럼 하나님께 대들면 안
Then you
되지.
can't go rebelling against God.
하나님 나는 지금 이상하게 아픕니다.
God, strangely, I'm
하나님이
sick right
아시잖아요.
now. God knows that already.
근데 사실은 그게 틀린 기도예요.
And so really speaking, that's an
여러분 기도
incorrect
중에
prayer.
제일 좋은 기도가 내일 스케줄을 놓고 내가 어떻게 저들에게 이 복음을 알게 할 수 있을까 생각하는 게 제일 좋은 기도예요.
And the greatest of all prayer is considering tomorrow's schedule, the people that you will meet, how am I going to present this gospel to them? Praying about that is the greatest prayer.
이걸 여러분이 1년만 해보세요.
Try that for 1 year.
여러분 지금 제가 이야기하는 거 못 알아듣는 사람이 있는데요. 이거 알아들어야 돼요.
And perhaps there may be some of you out there who don't understand what I'm talking about, but please, you need to understand.
주무시는 분이 2명이어서 이거 못 알아듣는 거거든 지금.
And I see 2 people sleeping out there. I think perhaps they don't understand what I'm
딴 데는
saying.
자도 이때는 자면 안 돼요.
And you can sleep any other time, but please don't sleep at this
이게
time.
지금 사단이 굉장히 두려운 일이라게.
Because what I'm speaking about right now is something that Satan
저는
fears a
그거에 가
lot.
성공했다니까요.
But through that, I was victorious.
그런데 계속 하나님이 정확한 답을 주시고.
But God continued to give accurate answers.
그게 뭡니까?
What is that?
내가 하나님의 시간표 속에 들어갔다 이 말이에요.
It means that you are inside of
여러분
God's
하나
time
물어봅시다.
schedule.
여러분이 하나님의 시간표 속에 들어갔다. 그 이상 더 큰 축복이 없어요.
And let me ask you, you are within God's time schedule. There is no greater
뭐
blessing
이거
than that.
달라 저거 달라 이 문제 저 문제 말할 필요 없어요.
Give me this, give me that, this problem, that problem. You don't even need to speak about that
그거는
to God.
성경에 분명히 예수님 그는 구원 못 받은 자들이 하는 이방인들이라서 우리 하나님 다 아신다고 했어요.
Because absolutely in the Bible, Jesus himself said those are the things that the pagans pray about. Those are
너희는
God
먼저 그의
absolutely knows
나라와
already.
그의 의를 구하라.
But you seek first his kingdom and his righteousness.
자, 여러분 자녀 없습니까?
Do you not have children of your own?
여러분 자녀가 이 속에 들어가는 게 가장 큰 축복이에요.
Your children entering into this is the greatest blessing.
우리가 지금 예탁이라는 게 뭐냐? 우리 렘넌트를 하나님의 시간표 속에 넣겠다는 거예요.
And what we're working so hard to achieve is making our remnants enter into God's time
우리
schedule.
렘넌트들을 하나님의 스케줄 속에 넣겠다는 거예요.
And we want to place our remnants into God's time schedule.
여러분 어렵습니까?
Is that difficult?
오늘 저녁에 가서 마음 먹어보세요. 그 마음이 세계를 뒤집는 시간이 될 것입니다.
At this evening, just set your heart to do this, and that time when you set your heart to do this will be the time where you are going to change the world.
저 대만에서요 아주 잘 사는 분이 합숙훈련을 왔어요.
That a person who was living very well in Taiwan came to Korea to receive first level camp training.
큰 인물이요 이 사람.
That he really was a great vessel.
근데 확실히 큰 인물은 달라요.
But truly great vessels are different.
합숙을 탁 받고 갔어요.
That he received camp training and returned to his country.
2년이 지났어요.
2 years passed.
내 집회관 탁 찾아간 거예요.
And then when I went to have a conference in Taiwan, he visited me.
목사님 제가 합숙 받고 난 뒤에 지금까지 받은 응답
He said, Pastor, the answers that I received until today after receiving camp training,
그걸 다 책으로 만들었어요.
he made that into a book.
그 책으로 만들어가지고 파는 게 아니고 친구들에게 주겠다는 거예요.
He made that into a book, and he wasn't trying to sell it. He was just giving it to his friends.
얼마나 대단합니까?
How amazing is that?
자기는 언제 죽을지 모릅니다.
He doesn't know when he's going to die
나이가 많대요.
because he's very old.
복음을 너무 늦게 알았다. 이거.
He realized this gospel too late in
근데 이
life.
복음 알았는데 친구들에게 말해주고 싶다 이거예요.
But after realizing this gospel, he wanted to tell his friends about it.
시간이 없다는 거예요.
But he didn't have time to do that.
그래서 책을 만들었대요.
So he decided to write a book.
그래 한 권씩 딱 보냈대.
And so he sent a book to all of his friends.
이것 보세요.
Look at that.
그런 사람도 있다니까요.
There are even people like that
그난
out
깜짝
there.
놀랐어요.
I was very surprised.
역시 큰 인물은 크게 일을 하구나.
I said, wow, he truly is a great vessel and he's working very large
자,
scale.
우리가 전혀 하나님의 스케줄 속에 안 들어가놓고 자꾸만 내놔라고 안 합니까?
But without entering into God's time schedule at all, we keep on asking God for things.
하나님도 얼마나 스트레스 받지겠습니까?
Can you imagine how stressed God is?
하나님이 전능하셔서 그렇지 얼마나 여러로게서 자꾸 내놔라 하니까 무조건.
It's just because God's almighty, but if we're going to continue to give him stress if we keep on demanding him from things.
여러분 교회 교인이 10명이라도요 이 스케줄 속에 들어가 있으면요 교회는 1년 지나 보세요 대역사를 납니다.
Even if you only have 10 members inside of your church, but if all 10 of those members have entered into God's time schedule, just wait 1 year, amazing works will
아니
take place.
이것만 했는데 하나님이 다른 것까지 충만해. 모든 것을 더하여 주시리라.
In just doing this, God answers and blesses in all different areas because He will give you all things as well.
저는 이것만 했는데요. 하나님이 축복하셔가지고 세계 복음할 수도 문을 열어주셨어요.
That I just did this, but God blessed and opened up the door so that I was able to do world
여러분 오늘 저녁에
evangelization.
한번 생각해 보시라고. 내일 내 스케줄을 여러분이 식당도 갈 때 준비해 가시라니까요.
And so think about it. Even this evening, talk about what you're going to do tomorrow. Even if you have a schedule, even if you go to a restaurant, think about
여러분이
this.
24시간 범죄하는 데만 다니면 이 준비를 못 해요.
And 24 hours a day, there are some people who just think about crime. But people, they don't even spend a minute thinking about this.
늘 가는 데가 술집밖에 없는데 이러면 좀 힘들죠.
That if you're a person that's only thinking about crime 24 hours a day or always thinking about how you're going to go to the bars, then it might be difficult to do this.
늘 가는 집이 창녀집이라 이거 하기 좀 힘들죠.
That if you're always going out looking at the prostitute, it might be difficult to do this.
늘 가는 집이 도박하는 데라 하기
If
힘들겠죠.
you're always going to the gambling casinos, then it might be difficult for to do this.
그러나 해보세요.
But if not, then try this.
창녀집에 가고 싶거든 갈 때 가지고 가세요.
Even if
메시지.
you happen to go to the brothel or something, take this, think about this.
해보시라니까요.
Try it.
내가 옛날에 이거 하니까요. 우리 그 옛날에 그 술 많이 먹는 사람만 교회 왔어요.
That when I began doing this, there was one time where a drunk came to my church.
그러니까 술을 빨리 못 끊어 이 사람 술 너무 많이 먹는 사람.
He was an alcoholic, and so he wasn't able to quit drinking, but he had drank so much.
그러니까 자기는 술 먹으면서 전도한다네 모아놓고 있는 그대로요.
And so he says he just evangelized the way he is. Sometimes he's drunk and he's still evangelizing.
내 봐라 말이야.
He says, look at me.
저래 한 말씩 먹는데 지금 한 대밖에 안 먹는다면서.
He says, I used to drink one big pitcher, but now I only drink one glass.
예수 믿으니까 술이 줄어들더라면서.
Then I believed in Jesus and my drinking capacity shrank.
그래가 진짜 전도했다니까요.
And he really would evangelize the people that
데리고 오는
way.
사람마다 전부 술꾼만 데리고 지금 가라는 데가 이가지고 가죠.
And every person he would bring to church turned out to be a drunk just like him.
여러분 이것만 했는데 하나님께서 건강도 주시죠.
But in just doing this, God gives you health.
이것만 했는데 하나님이 경제문도 열어주시죠.
Just doing this, God opens up the door
이것만
of
했는데
finance
하나님은
for you.
교회 부흥시키죠.
In just doing this, God opens up the door of revival
얼마나
for your church.
감사하죠.
Then how amazing is it?
우리는 이 전도 스케줄 따라 이제 움직이는데 하나님은 모든 축복을 다 주시죠.
Then we move according to this evangelism schedule, and yet God blesses us in all areas.
그러니까 보세요.
And so look at this.
저도 그렇지만 나는 우리 어르신들 보면요. 갈수록 건강해지는 것 같아요.
That is like for me. It's like that for me as well. But when I look at these senior
여러분
pastors here,
보세요. 몇 년 전에 여러분 보셨잖아요.
they're getting younger and younger by the day.
더 젊어지셨잖아요.
That you've seen these pastors for a while now. They
나는
seem
그때
younger
보면
today.
옛날에 사진 보면서 지금 더 젊어진 것 같아요.
That even when I look at my old pictures, I think I'm younger now than back then.
하나님이 얼마나 기뻐하시는지 복음이 그죠.
And God is so pleased with this gospel
그래서
movement.
이분들은 내가 한 100살까지 다 살아라고 했어요.
And so I said to these pastors here, I all hope that you all live to be 100.
그랬더니 우리 김동건 목사님 20살 깎겠다고 막 안타까워서
And Pastor Kim Dong-won is saying, you know, you used to say 120, but now you're only saying 100 years old.
김동건 목사 120세까지 살기로 했는데 제가 100세까지 살았더니 20살 깎겠대요. 그죠?
Then Pastor Kim Dong-won was hoping to live to be 120, but when I said 100, he says, oh, why did you cut 20 years out?
여러분 천하 없는 장소도 하나님의 시간표 안에 있으면 살고 이 밖에서는 죽는 겁니다.
And no matter how outstanding you may be, if you are inside of God's time schedule, you will live. If you are outside of God's time schedule, you will perish.
정말 시애틀에 선교할 사람 있겠습니까?
Truly, in Seattle, is there a person that's going to do
문제 이
missions?
세 개거든요.
It's these three things.
정말 시애틀에 세계 선교할 사람이 있습니까?
Is there a person who is truly going to do world missions here in Seattle?
하나님은 정말 독일이 복음 전할 때 하나님 독일을 축복하셨어요.
When Germany was preaching the gospel, God blessed Germany.
하나님이 정말 영국이 복음 전할 때 하나님 영국을 축복하셨어요.
When England was preaching the gospel, God truly blessed
역사
England.
보라니까요.
Look at history.
로마의 복음 전할 때 로마로 축복하셨어요.
That when Rome was doing the gospel movement, God blessed Rome.
유럽이 복음 다 끊이고 난데 하나님이 미국이 복음 운동 하려고 할 때 하나님 미국을 축복하셨어요.
After the gospel was cut off in Europe and the gospel came over to America, God blessed America.
지금 현재도 미국이 세계 선교에서 제일 많이 보내고 있어요.
Even now, America is number one in sending out missionaries to the
현재까지도.
world. It's like that even now.
미국이 1위, 한국이 2위요.
That America is first and Korea is second.
하나님 미국을 얼마나 축복하셨습니까?
You know how much God has blessed
유럽에
America.
있는 모든 그 국방비 다 합쳐도 미국 못 따라온다는
And you
겁니다.
take the budget for the national defense of all the nations in Europe and you put them all together and it still doesn't follow what America has.
정말로 시애틀에 선교할 사람이 있냐?
Is there truly a person that's going to do missions in Seattle?
이때 하나님은 언약적 축복을
It's at
회복시키십니다.
this time that God brings restoration of the covenantal blessings.
아니면 이스라엘이 노예가 됐다.
Or else Israel became
억울하죠?
slaves. It really is
언약적
regretful.
축복 받아야 될 사람이 노예가 됐다.
People who should have received these covenantal blessings, they became slaves.
여러분이 정말 선교할 사람이 맞다면 하나님은 역사에 보세요. 언제든지 경제 축복하셨잖아요.
That if you truly are a person to do missions, look throughout history. God always gave financial blessings.
이스라엘이 이건 못 깨달으니까 재앙을 받는
But
거예요.
when Israel did not realize this, they faced
이런
disaster.
억울한 수가
How
되겠습니까?
regretful is that?
여러분 성경에 보세요. 이 선교 정말 할 사람에게 하나님은 문화 회복의 축복을 주신 거예요.
And look at this. In the Bible, when there were people who really did missions, then and God brought the restoration of culture to them.
아니면 이 흑암 문화를 이기지를 못한다.
Or else they weren't able to overcome the culture of darkness.
여러분이 이 축복을 정말 회복해야 됩니다.
May you truly have restoration of this blessing.
이 체험을 시작하시기
May you
바랍니다.
begin experiencing
그래서
this.
놓치지 마세요.
Don't lose hold of it.
여러분 조금만 복음에 대한 언약을 누리면요, 이 체험이 일어납니다.
If you slightly begin to enjoy the covenant concerning the gospel, you'll begin to experience this.
그렇다면 요 스케줄로 연결되지겠죠.
Then it gets connected to that schedule.
이렇게 되집니다.
This is how it
여러분
becomes.
이렇게 했는데 여러분에게는 이런 축복으로 연결돼 와요.
Then you did this and it gets connected with those kinds of
그래,
blessings.
이것부터 빨리 해결해야 됩니다.
And so you must begin by solving this
우리가
first.
처음부터는 이걸 제대로 해야지 그 다음 걸 아무리 하려고 해도 안 되죠.
And you must begin with this first for everything else to follow. If you put this aside, no matter how much you work at the other things, it will not happen.
자, 그러면 결론 내리시다.
Then let's come to the conclusion.
성경에 무엇이 안 되면 어떻게 해야 됩니까?
Then what wasn't working in the Bible and what must we do?
사도행 1장 오늘 1절에 11절 읽었습니다.
We read Acts chapter 1 verses 1 through 11.
여기 몇 가지 답이
There are
나왔습니다.
a few answers here.
첫째입니다.
First of all,
사도행 1장 1절 2절입니다.
Acts chapter 1 verses 1 through 2.
결론이 나야 돼요.
You have to have the conclusion.
여러분 진짜 오늘 저는 결론 내시기
That
바랍니다.
this evening really come to your conclusion.
데오빌로요 내가 먼저 쓴 글에는
O Theophilus, in my former account.
1절 2절에 보면 그 얘기 다 나왔죠.
And if you look in chapter 1 verse 2, it talks about what that account was.
누가복음을 말합니다.
It's talking about the book of Luke.
오늘 모든 염려도 내버리세요.
And so this evening, get rid of all your
왜냐?
worries.
결론 났잖아요.
Because you know the conclusion.
그래서 뭐 우리는 살아가다 보면 막 문제 많이 생깁니다. 그 걸리지 말라니까 결론 났잖아요.
As we're living our lives, all kinds of problems may arise. Don't get caught up by those things. Why? Because we know the conclusion.
여러분이 일어난 문제 99%는요 가만 놔두면 해결됩니다.
And the problem that you're facing right now, 99% of them, if you leave them alone, they get solved on their own.
우리 경상도 말로 쪼사가지고 문제 만단 말이 있어요. 여러분 자꾸 건드려가지고 그러죠.
That if you look at one of the words that they say in the Gyeongsang province, they say that the problem that you have, you keep on making a mountain out of a molehill.
가만 놔두면 돼요.
If you just leave it
여러분
alone.
자꾸 의식이 불신자 의식이란 말이야. 아니 그래도 가만 놔두면 되게. 그건 불신자하는 말. 여러분은 하나님이 분명히 성령으로 역사하고 계시잖아요.
But our thinking, it keeps on returning to a non-believer thinking, oh, what are we going to do about this? How are we going to do that? If you leave it alone, God will take care of it.
여러분 하나님 자녀입니다.
You're God's children.
마귀 자녀 아니라니까요.
You're not children of the
그러니까
devil.
결론 내버리세요.
So come to that conclusion.
그러니까 뭐든지 하나님께 맡기면 됩니다.
And whatever it is, entrust it to God.
여기서 이제 구원 못 받은 사람 들으면 에이 저거 뭔 소리지 싶어.
If there's anyone here who have not received salvation, they may hear my words and says, what is he talking
그게
about?
맞는 말이요.
The one way is for him.
여러분이 하나님의 자녀 아닐 경우는요 악착같이 몸부림치고 악착같이 해야 돼요.
If you're not God's child, you have to do whatever you can to live and survive.
왜냐 우리는 하나님 자녀인데 뭐
But we're God's children.
다르다니까요.
We're different.
그래서 여러분이 오늘 가정의 염려도요 다 내버리세요.
And so the worries that you came here with, get rid of
그러니까
them.
우리는 또 보면 막 시기할 일도 생기잖아요. 내버리세요.
And there are times where perhaps you may fall into jealousy or envy. Get
좀
rid of that.
잘못하는 사람 용서 좀 해주세요.
And people who did things a little bit wrong, forgive them.
용서합니다.
But people, they don't forgive.
특히 예수 믿는 사람 용서 안 해요.
It seems as if people believe in Jesus are the ones that don't forgive at all.
성경에는 용서하라는데 불신자 신자들 용서 안 해.
Then the Bible tells us to forgive, but it seems as if believers don't forgive.
차라리 불신자가 낫다니까요.
Sometimes non-believers seem better at doing
불신자들이
that.
아마 싸우다가도 야 막 이야기하고 한 잔 먹고 야 다
And
틀어버린다니까.
non-believers, they get into a fight, they talk about it, they said, oh, let's go out for a drink, and they just
이
shake it
예수
off.
이상을 믿는 것들은요 술도 안 먹고 맨정신으로 끝까지 싸웁니다 이게.
And those who don't believe in Jesus, very strangely, they fight to the very end. They don't forgive their neighbor.
그것도요 새벽기도 해가면서 싸웁니다.
And they're going and doing early morning prayer service, and still they won't forgive their
얼마나
neighbor.
못됐습니까?
How terrible is that?
자기는 구원 다 받아 남 용서 안 하고,
And they have received salvation, and they're not even forgiving
자기는
others.
늘 실수하면서 남 용서 안 하고,
Even though they make mistakes their entire life, they don't forgive others.
자기들은 세상에서 오만 짓 하면서 목사님 조금 실수하면 그거 갖고 막
They do
힘들고,
all sorts of things in their world, but if the pastor makes a little bit of mistake, then they don't even forgive that.
자기들 세상에서 오만 짓 다 하면서요 목사님은 양실수 막 그거 하고 막
They're doing all sorts of things out in the world, but when the pastor makes a little bit of mistake, then they won't forgive him for
그러니까
that.
결론을 내라니까요.
That's why we
결론.
have to come to this conclusion.
그래서 그렇습니다.
That's why it's like
우리는
that.
자꾸 결론 내면 끝난 건데 자꾸만 문제 일어나잖아요.
If we come to this conclusion, then it's over. But because we haven't come to the conclusion, we keep on making more problems.
뭡니까? 1장 3절에
Then what is this in chapter 1?
답이
verse
다 나서
3?
1장 3절에
Chapter 1, verse 3, we have that
하나님의
answer.
나라.
God's kingdom.
이 말은 무슨 말인가 하니까 우리는 자꾸 분위기에 속습니다.
What do these words mean? We keep on getting lost in the atmosphere.
여러분에게는 하나님의 나라 이루어지는 비밀이 있습니다.
Because you possess the mystery of bringing about God's
분위기도
kingdom.
봐야 되지만 요걸 가지고 있어요.
That we do need to look at what's happening around us, but we do need to be able to see this.
렘넌트 기억하세요.
Remnants, remember
여러분 가면 별거 아닌 것처럼 보입니다.
that when you go out there, it may not seem like much,
그게 속는 거예요.
but that's how you're being deceived.
세상은 큰데 여러분 작아 보입니다.
And the
속는
world looks
겁니다.
so big, but you seem so small. You're being deceived.
아유, 세상 사람 대단하다. 나는 왜 이랬지? 이럴 수 없습니다.
Oh, the world, it seems such a great place, but why am I
속는
like
거라니까요.
this? You're being deceived.
여러분 뒤에는요 하나님의 나라는 어마어마한 비밀이 이루어지는 겁니다.
Because
진짜.
behind you, the great mystery of God's kingdom is being
그래서
fulfilled.
예수님 그거 설명했잖아요.
That's That's what Jesus explained.
그러면서 뭐라고 약속했습니까?
And what else did he promise?
성령 충만 얘기.
He promised the filling of the Holy
이건
Spirit.
뭔 말입니까?
What does this mean?
우리가 자꾸 무능하니까요.
Because we're so powerless.
그래서 성령 충만 받아요.
That's why we need to receive the filling of the Holy
우리가
Spirit.
너무 능력이 없고 너무 기본이 안 되니까 교회도 안 되고 그래서 공부도 안 되잖아요. 그래서 성령 충만을 받아요.
We're so powerless and we don't even have the basics, and so sometimes we can't even get good grades in school. That's why God promised the filling of the Holy Spirit.
그래서 또 이게 가장 중요한 건 우리 체질이거든요.
And one very important thing is our nature.
그러니까 성령 충만 받아요.
That's why we have to receive the filling
이것만
of the Holy
기억하면
Spirit.
여러분 됩니다.
If you just remember this, that's all you need.
아니 이거는 2000년 전 얘기 아닙니까?
But this is something he said 2,000 years ago.
사도행 1장 11절 주님 재림오신 날까지.
Actually, 1 verse 11, until the day the Lord returns again.
그 말은 지금도 유효하게 그대로 역사하고 계신다. 그
What
말이에요.
that means that it's effective even now, and in exactly the same way he is working even now.
이 축복을 받으시길 바랍니다.
May you receive this blessing.
이번 집회 이후로 시애틀에 있는 미국에 계신 모든 평신도들 경제 축복 받으시기 바랍니다.
Beginning with this conference, may all of you lay people living here in America, here in Seattle, may you receive financial blessings.
왜냐? 경제 축복 받아야 선교하고 전도도 하고 싶고.
Why? Because you have to receive financial blessings to do evangelism and missions.
그러면 경제는 누가 주십니까?
Then who's the one that gives those finances?
하나님이 주십니다.
God gives it.
불신자가 더 많은데 그렇습니다.
And non-believers, they got more than us. Yes, that's true.
불신자에게 돈을 많이 줘야 세상 유지가 돼요.
And God needs to give lots of money to non-believers to maintain this world.
그러나 신자에게 주는 건 달라요.
However, what God gives to believers is different.
경제 누가 주냐? 하나님이 주십니다.
Who gives these finances? God gives
그래서
it.
내일 우리는 한번 메시지 붙잡고 한번 도전합시다.
And so tomorrow, let's grab hold of the message and really challenge ourselves.
평신도도 그렇고 내일 한번 우리가 메시지 붙잡고 한번 결단 내리자.
Lay people as well as all the believers here, may you grab hold of the message and really make that resolution.
예, 저와 우리 지금 목사님 한국에 결단 냈습니다.
And myself as well as our pastors here in Korea, they have made that resolution.
한국의 문화를 바꿀 만한 RUTC를 만들겠다.
That we're going to make an RUTC that's capable of changing the culture of Korea.
지역 문화를 바꿀 교회를
We're
만들겠다.
going to make a church that's capable of changing the culture of that
이거는
region.
사명입니다.
That's our
그래서 우리는
commission.
지금 언약을 딱 붙잡았습니다.
That's why we've grabbed hold of the covenant.
부산에 여러분 지역에 문화를 바꿀 만한 건축을 하겠다.
In Busan and in your region, you're going to have a construction that's going to change the culture of that
그러니까 우리는
region.
지금 결단 내리고 시작합니다.
And so we've already made that conclusion and we've
여러분
beginning.
한번 하나님의 계획이 분명하면 하나님 역사하십니다.
If it truly is God's plan, God will work.
그래 내일
We'll
이야기하겠습니다.
speak about that
그거
tomorrow.
하기 전에 가장 처음 것이 안 되니까.
But before we do that, is the very start, the very beginning that's not working.
그러니까 여러분이 조금만 이게 현장 가서 체험해 보면요, 이 감사가 저절로 나옵니다.
And so if you go out to the field and even if you just slightly experience this, Thanksgiving will come out on its own.
그리고 여러분 조금만 요 스케줄 속에 들어가면 교회도 살고 여러분 살고 이거 모든 답은 여기다 있어요.
And even if you just slightly enter into the schedule, the church will be revived, you will live, every answer is
그리고
within this.
하나님의 진짜 목표는 여기 있습니다.
And God's true goal lies here.
여러분 교회가 선교할 만큼 축복받기를 하나님 원하십니다.
God wants your church to be blessed to the extent of being able to do world missions.
여러분 자녀가 세계를 누비도록 하나님 원하십니다. 그게 선교입니다.
God wants your children to be able to go out and take over this world. That's God's desire.
그래서 미국에 있는 렘넌트들 하나님의 큰 축복 받으실 줄 믿습니다.
And so our remnants living here in America, I know that God will greatly bless
내일
them.
저녁에 우리는 결론을
We'll
내겠습니다.
speak about the conclusion tomorrow.
오늘 여러분 이 언약을 꼭 잡으시기를 예수 이름으로 축원합니다.
And so this evening, may you grab hold of this covenant in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ.
기도하겠습니다.
Let us pray.
하나님께 감사드립니다.
We give thanks to God.
정말 이 언약을 붙잡는 시작이 되게
Let
해주옵소서.
this truly be a start where we grab hold of this covenant.
오늘 처음부터 복음의 능력으로 미국을 살리는 시작이 일어나게
And let
해주옵소서.
this be a start where we can really grab hold of the gospel and save America.
이 자리에 계신 분들이 전도할 사람이 맞다면 하나님은 모든 것을 책임지실 것을 확신합니다.
And if the people sitting here are truly people that are going to evangelize, Lord, we have the assurance that you are going to take care of everything.
선교의 주역이 맞다면 하나님은 분명히 역사하실 것을 확신합니다.
And if they truly are the main figures for missions, then it is a sure thing that you will work upon
이
them.
축복이 시작되게 하옵소서.
May this blessing begin.
예수 그리스도 이름으로
In Jesus
기도하옵나이다.
Christ's name we pray.
아멘.
Amen.